Welcome back to the IBFP. Here's your host, Boxing New.
Welcome back, fight fans. Welcome back. Let's just dig right into it. Vergil Ortiz versus Errol Spence Jr., a super fight. Let's just break it down. And Vergil Ortiz Jr., he's came out with some interesting statements as of recently and stated that, he wants to beat Errol Spence in his prime by 2022. He doesn't want to fight Errol Spence. He wants to beat him in his prime because he wants ultimate credit. We understand there's a lot of fanboys who takes credit away from guys all the time. Fanboys who never want to give guys credit. Well, he didn't beat him at this point. He didn't beat him at that point. Errol Spence Jr. is a very good fighter. He's a unified welterweight champion. And so I understand why Vergil Ortiz wants to fight Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr. is a guy he's even looked up to. Coming up, these guys grew up around the same area. These two guys would be a huge fight in Texas. This fight makes a lot of sense at some point down the road. Vergil Ortiz was saying in 2019 that he see a super fight between Errol Spence happening in Dallas at 154 pounds. This fight makes too much sense. This is an exact quote. And he states, "I think I'll be ready for Errol Spence in less than 2 years, honestly. I don't want to wait too long to where he's already on his way out. I want to say I beat Errol Spence in his prime, and hopefully we get it on in the Cowboys Stadium." And that was an interview that he gave to The Zone. And, there's a lot of people already saying that, Errol Spence Jr., his prime is over, the guy is done, but we still haven't seen him in the ring because he's been through a lot with the car accident, but we don't know where Errol Spence is at as of yet physically. We just have to see in his next fight. That'll give us the determination where he is and how good he is, and and if he wins it thoroughly and it's a good fighter and a competitive fight, then we'll see Errol Spence Jr. is back. But as of right now, we simply don't know. So we can only go on what we have, and what we have is Errol Spence Jr. has been cleared to box. He has been cleared to spar. And so, he looks to resume his career as normal. So let's just break down the fight objectively as possible. And so based on the information that we have, and, Vergil Ortiz, 22 years old, orthodox fighter, 5'10" with a 70-inch reach. On the other hand, you have Errol Spence Jr., 30 years old, southpaw, 5'9.5" with the 72-inch reach. So Vergil Ortiz has about a half an inch height advantage, while Errol Spence Jr. has about a 2-inch reach advantage. And the height and reach, all of these things make a difference when you fight higher level oppositions. All of these things make a difference when you move up and elevate in competition, because it's the little things that can change the course of a fight. And you also see a lot of people saying, well, Vergil Ortiz, he gets smoked by Errol Spence, and I don't believe that at all. You see that Vergil Ortiz is on the rise, while Errol Spence Jr. is on the decline. And it's not because of any one thing, it's because of totality of things that are happening. You look at Vergil Ortiz, in 2019, he was the prospect of the year. People looked at this guy as the real deal. You even see Chris Mannix stating that Vergil Ortiz stops Antonio Orozco and Mauricio Herrera in back-to-back fights. These are two fighters who had never been stopped before. So that's a huge statement for a guy like Vergil Ortiz. He's stopping guys who have good chins, guys who have never went down and touched the canvas. This is who Vergil Ortiz is stopping. These are not cab and taxi drivers. Let's be honest and unbiased. And you even see Steve Kim come out and state, what's not talked about enough with Vergil Ortiz is his speed and reflexes. He's not just heavy-handed. He got some real quickness to him. And see, that's one of the best things about Vergil Ortiz, is because he wants to be a complete fighter. He's developing his all-around game. And that's the great thing about working with the Robert Garcia Boxing Academy as well. You see Robert Garcia is making the guy a total fighter. I've even seen Vergil Ortiz turning his opponent, using angles, and his speed is looking to be improved from what I've seen early in his career, because he's making more decisive movements and he's striking at the precise time to hurt his opponents in the right spots. He's working the body, he's working the head, he's presenting a varied attack. So when you look at Vergil Ortiz, he is becoming a complete fighter. He is on the rise, and a lot of people are taking notes. This guy isn't some come forward power puncher who blindly tries to knock you out. He has more dimensions to his game than what meets the eye. Let's be honest and unbiased. And we also see that Vergil Ortiz, he simply wants to rise. He wants to face the best. He wants to prepare himself with big challenges. A lot of people say Vergil Ortiz is, well, he hasn't really fought anybody significant. Well, you know, he's calling for guys like Keith Thurman. He said he wants that fight in 2020. Here's the problem with that. Keith Thurman is not looking to fight any of these young lions. Keith Thurman, you know, is turning down opportunities to be a great fighter. Keith Thurman wants to rematch guys like Danny Garcia and Sean Porter. Keith Thurman is not trying to put it all on the line against these young bucks. And you know, I think that would be a great fight. You know, Keith Thurman coming off a loss to Manny Pacquiao. He's not interested in Terrence Crawford fight. He's not interested in the Errol Spence fight. So why not fight a young lion? If you're not going to fight any of those guys, why not fight a young lion? It makes too much sense to pass up. And, you know, and this is why Errol Spence is on a decline. You know, the guy, you know, lived a reckless partying lifestyle, and he ended up getting into a horrible crash. Thank goodness he's okay. You know, we're glad that Errol Spence Jr. made a full recovery and he's back. And, you know, we can't wait to see what he can do in the future. But here's the thing, that accident, no matter what, it has to take something out of you. So, you know, how much? We don't know. What exactly it took out of him? We don't know. We won't know until he gets back into the ring. But what we do know is that's part of a decline of a fighter. Any abuse you put your body through is part of a decline. Another thing, that even before the accident, Errol Spence Jr. was abusing his body to a degree. I mean, you see that Errol Spence came out and stated on his own Twitter, see, this is not me, this is not my feelings, this is not what I think, this is what Errol Spence stated. And he said, I got to keep my weight in control from now on. Ain't nothing cool about blowing up 25 plus pounds and having to spit in camp losing it. And so instead of working on his craft, working on his skills, his head movement, footwork, hand speed, different things that could help improve his boxing ability and, you know, make his IQ greater, this guy is focused on losing weight. It's a fat camp, not a training camp. So we got to be honest and unbiased. When we look at Errol Spence Jr., you know, he spent more time losing weight than the guys on the other side of 30 right now. So he cannot continue to make 147 for too much longer. And, you know, you've even seen Errol Spence Jr. said it recently and over the past year or two that 154 and 160 is in his future. He's 30 plus years old. At this point, Errol Spence Jr., it's time that he's going to be looking to move to 154. I don't think in 2021 Errol Spence Jr. will be a welterweight. It's looking more and more likely 2021 Errol Spence will move up. This may be his last year in the welterweight division. And I think if he fights Terrence Crawford in 2021, it's more than likely going to be at 154. And if he, for any reason, he fights him at 47, I think if he loses, he's going to blame it on being at the weight too long and that he was drained. We got to be honest and unbiased. We've seen what Deontay Wilder did, blaming it on a costume that he lost and got beat badly by Tyson Fury. We understand guys are not built the way they used to be as true champions. And then you look at a guy like Andre Ward and you use this as a way, you know, Andre Ward was one of the greatest fighters we've ever seen. He was undefeated. He was a world champion. He's a Hall of Famer. He was a pound-for-pound fighter. Andre Ward was a very good and gifted fighter, and he put together, you know, a bad habits 10 commandments list. And, you know, some of the things he stated was putting drugs or alcohol in your system, you know, gaining 20 to 30 pounds between fights, only training when you have a fight, believing in your own hype, loving the nightlife. You know, these are the type of things that he put on the list that would derail a fighter, that would keep a fighter from truly being great. And we see too many of these things listed for Errol Spence Jr. I think that Vergil Ortiz is on the rise while Errol Spence Jr. is on a decline. And at this point, when they meet, whether it's at 154 or not, I think Vergil Ortiz pretty much takes Errol Spence down. But once again, unbiased as always, it's the IBFP.